Hi everybody, Rad Mom here. Welcome back to The Garden, where we do feminism from a materialist perspective. Today on the channel, we have an old friend back to visit us. Arielle Scarcella is back with us, but she's doing the middle-aged Clueless Coastal White Lady thing. And she's clueless, so she doesn't know she's doing it. So we're gonna make fun of her today, and it's gonna be fun. Before we jump in though, please like the video, subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this, and share it around. You know, we're trying to drag feminism kicking and screaming back into the real world if it's the last thing that I do. And maybe buy a t-shirt. They're cute. And they make good presents. The holidays are coming up. All right. Now that stuff's out of the way, let's see what Arielle's got going on today.
Today we're going to talk about a very specific subculture over on our favorite social media site, TikTok. And that subculture happens to be people who are triggered by the American flag, just by the sight of it, by the way. American culture, basically anything, they're triggered by anything that has to do with the United States.
This is actually an example of something interesting that I've noticed, wherein conservatives will accuse liberals of being triggered by certain things, where in fact, they are actually just unhappy about them. So who is using the word then? Who is talking about being triggered? Is it the libs?
The symbolism of the flag does not mean what it used to mean. Now I see an American flag hanging from someone's yard or house, and I immediately assume that they're conservative right-wing lunatics.
You know, I'm not mad about the fact that people that believe in freedom, personal responsibility, low government involvement in our lives ruined the American flag for you, because you know what? People like this ruined the rainbow flag for me.
And the truth comes out, huh? She's not sad for anyone else because she's been wronged. Wow. Okay.
See someone with an American flag on their shirt, do you form any kind of opinions about that person?
Yeah, I guess conservative. Yeah, I'm just oh, LOL. He's one of the guys that do American pride and stuff like that.
I see it
what other
races now, to be honest with you.
I'm not surprised, because this video was obviously filmed on Venice Beach in Los Angeles, the most progressive place. But this concept is obviously spread across the whole entire country at this point.
I do not know anything about Venice Beach, but she obviously doesn't know anything about the rest of the country. The fact that this was filmed on Venice Beach does not indicate that that's where these ideas originated. I'm actually going to go ahead and say, for the record, as someone who has spent her entire life pretty much in the middle of the country-ish, that no, these people's impressions of someone who would go to the trouble of flying a big old flag from their house, not necessarily from their truck, definitely is pretty accurate. And it's been that way for some time. I think perhaps it's actually spread from the heartland to the coasts. As weird as that may sound to you, Arielle.
Keep in mind that these people are born here and live here, and somehow will do anything to feel oppressed in the freest country in the world.
Actually, the freest country in the world is a real thing. That is a real award that is given. And a few years ago, I remember reading that it was given to Hong Kong, I believe it was. You know, the place where you can rent an apartment the size of a parking space. Question is, free for whom? To do what?
Think about this. Our country values freedom and privacy so much that we have companies like ExpressVPN, who happen to be sponsoring this video.
Wow, and I thought I was getting hammy trying to make some money. Let me just hop over that low bar. Damn.
This point in my life, a pickup truck with an American flag attached to the back, speeding down a street, gives me pause, and I look for safety.
First of all, being triggered by the flag that stands for people who fought for the Union against slavery is another level. Just another level of victimization.
See, this is one of the key misunderstandings that I see in Arielle's video here. The idea that the Union flag is still antithetical to the Confederacy. That is an understandable assumption, but the Civil War was about 150 years ago, give or take. Okay? And in that time, blind faith in patriotism has remained the purview of the sort of person who would just fly a flag because it's their flag. They're still more inclined to fly flags, I guess is what I'm saying, than people who are more concerned with egalitarianism and less concerned with, nationalism. Have you been to the middle of the country? Have you been to anywhere south of the Mason-Dixon line, Arielle? Have you been here? Because they'll fly them together. That's actually pretty common. They will fly the Union flag and the Confederate flag next to one another. Riddle me that.
Second of all, the current sitting president of the United States was a segregationist. He is one of the biggest racists. And you know what? This probably voted for him. Honestly, props to the progressives and Democrats for brainwashing these people so well at this point.
Yes, Joe Biden has a long, storied history of racism. Public, bureaucratic racism, okay? And the fact that no one talks about his record really at all does sort of boggle the mind.
Changing the symbol of literal freedom to mean oppression, like the literal flag of America used to mean freedom, and now apparently it means oppression. Couldn't have been an easy task to do, to brainwash people to believe this. It's insane.
And as for whether that flag stands for freedom or oppression, I think it has always depended upon who you ask, hasn't it?
A great question to ask here is, why is this hatred of America and leftist ideology so popular, specifically against young people? We don't really see this kind of behavior in other countries, and I think Jordan Peterson nailed this point perfectly.
Jordan Peterson is literally from another country. According to Brianna from Rising, it's a whole other world that we don't even have to worry about. Oh my gosh, this is just too much fun.
No wonder so many people are opting for leftist ideals. Basically, they can do no wrong as long as they claim to be part of some minority group, which is why we are seeing more and more teens identifying as LGBT, even though they don't have gender dysphoria or are not same-sex attracted.
She's not wrong here, but like, they're not leftist ideals, okay? Just because you sign up for a role in the fascist revolution and then they call themselves socialists, that doesn't make them socialists. But that is a big reason, and I think a lot of us have talked about this, why woke politics is popular with a lot of people, because if you can, find yourself your tier in the oppression hierarchy, then you can reap the benefits of that. And that's another reason why so many people are identifying into the LGBTQIA plus umbrella community thing, because, there's oppression points that come with that, and it puts you in the hierarchy.
So why does the government want us to hate being American? Why do so many people claim that they are triggered by our flags?
Again, they were not the ones claiming to be triggered by the flags. They were the ones who were observing a real cultural phenomenon, and you are the one who's calling them triggered for being unhappy about it, instead of, I don't know, going and investigating what the fuck it is that they're talking about. You're just sitting there and assuming that you know how this whole country works. From Brooklyn. It's not a good look, honey. The hat is mwah.
My bet is that the Democrats, the far leftists, and progressives in the government all want to fix this unequal power balance that they claim it exists. They claim all of these issues are based on people being, proud Americans and proud white supremacists. And the only way to change this is to change the American laws, the root of the cause. Not true. The people in control hate America. They hate the fact that you have more power over yourself and potentially others than they do. So they want to destroy all of it, and they want to build back better. And guess what? Once you're open to seeing this idea, you can't unsee it.
Okay, moment of weirdness today, because for once I 100% agree with her about the really kooky thing that she just said. I have had to reach the inescapable conclusion that there are some powers out there that really, really loathe the idea of the common people determining their own lives and perhaps amassing their own wealth. There are people out there who really just hate that idea and appear to have dedicated themselves and all their resources to destroying that possibility. I don't think it's the same people she does. But that's another video for another day.
Just to throw this out there, is it really only cis straight white men who love America? Or is that just what the current media and government is telling you? Because here's what I've been seeing.
I was on Long Island this weekend visiting a really dear friend, and I was really disturbed. I saw, dozens and dozens of pickup trucks with, explicatives against Joe Biden on the back of them, Trump flags. and some cases just dozens of American flags, which is also just disturbing because essentially the message was clear. It was, this is my country. This is not your country. I own this.
Here's my advice to you. Stop thinking of yourself as black, as gay, as trans, as whatever, and start simply thinking of yourself as an American. Once you do that, all of this other stuff starts to change.
And this is why Arielle really just sort of belongs in the LGBT community, because she regularly engages in magical thinking to this very day. You cannot simply stop thinking of yourself away and have the rest of the world stop engaging with you that way. That ain't how it works. Because this woman is exactly correct, I believe, in the message that she received from those fellows with the flags on their trucks. That's exactly the message that they intended to send. I say that because it would be completely in line with my personal experience of people like that. As a white person, I get all of it. I hear all of it casually over the kitchen table. I know these people. She's right. Arielle, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I don't know what the fuck you're on. But you need to put it down and step away. Take a road trip, okay? Go follow Route 66 or something. Go west, old lady. You will be surprised, I think, by what you find out there.
Yes, one message is this is our country and we control it, not the government. We own it, not the government. Why would you want the government to have more control over your lives anyway?
You have, in many respects, the former disgraced, twice impeached, one-term president to thank for politicizing the American flag.
Well, yeah, I mean, the American flag is political. It always will be. Does it mean that it's specifically Democrat or Republican? No. It means that it stands for America. Different countries have different views of how to rule and or control and stabilize the people living in their country. That is a political stance in itself. In America, we believe that all humans deserve freedom.
All humans deserve freedom. Okay, the freedom to do what? Apparently not the freedom to not starve to death. Not the freedom to not freeze to death. Not even necessarily the freedom to get a job. Yeah. The freedom to post YouTube videos, I guess. USA,
Just overall recently, over the past year, there's just been some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Do you remember when Sunny from The View said that, let me get this right, that she was afraid of Trump and the American flag unless it was the 4th of July?
When I drive into a neighborhood and it's not July 4th and I'm not in a predominantly military household neighborhood and there are flags, American flags everywhere alongside Trump flags, alongside flags with stars in a circle, I feel threatened because the message is very clear. It's a message of white supremacy, it's a message of racism, and it's a message of their country, not my country.
So basically you stand for freedom, but you don't stand for freedom of somebody's choice to hold the, use the flag, show the flag, be proud of the flag. Literally makes no sense, but when else do progressives make any sense?
No goofus. They're free to fly whatever flag they want. And she is free to comment upon it. It's called a dialogue. Where have you been?
This is what happens when you look at everything through the eye of race or sexual orientation. Everything becomes you against us instead of us versus the government. Divide and conquer is exactly what they want. And honestly, if this is what white supremacy looks like in America these days, consider me all for it.
Divide and conquer is exactly what they want. Us versus the government? That's us versus ourselves. We the fucking people. Who's talking nonsense now, Arielle?
People need to listen when I am saying, this is how I feel. This is my experience in this country.
If you're telling people that they need to listen to someone just because they're black and a woman, then you should simultaneously be telling people that they should also listen to Candace Owens. Oh, okay, so maybe it's not about race.
We should listen to a black woman when she is talking about issues pertaining specifically to black women, for sure. Yeah. And as far as listening to Candace Owens, bring it on. If she's full of shit, we'll sort her out, won't we? That's the whole point of freedom of speech and debate. Bring it on.
Maybe it's simply just about big government versus small government, freedom versus authoritarianism.
Freedom versus authoritarianism is such a stupid, false dichotomy. This is only the second time I've actually run into it so explicitly stated that way, and I'm already sick to death of it. In what world is your government just abandoning you to the whims of nature and fate? Freedom. In this modern world, when we have the technology to actually create an infrastructure to allow people to just go about their fucking lives and not have to worry constantly about finding food and shelter and water, why in the world would freedom be defined by your government, your institutions abandoning you? That doesn't make any sense to me.
People have been brainwashed into fearing freedoms that they have. So much so that teachers are literally taking down the American flags in their classrooms and replacing them with ones like this. And this teacher tweeted, in case y'all didn't hear, Virginia now has a law that allows anybody to anonymously report teachers like myself who teach critical race theory like I do.
You better not touch my flag. This is my flag. I hold my flag high. You will not burn it. You will not cut it. You will not tear it. You will not stomp on it. This is my flag.
It is a flag, sir. I have been just perplexed by this kind of thing ever since I was a kid. What is this, playground time? What the fuck are you on about? It is a piece of cloth, like a quilt. I mean, imagine if I were to stand there and go, this is my quilt. I hold my quilt. You don't burn my quilt. You don't tear my quilt. What the fuck am I talking about? I'm not going to burn your flag. I don't care to take your flag. You can have as much fun with your flag as you want and do whatever the hell you want with it, but what's with the big show? It doesn't have anything to do with what it actually symbolizes because he doesn't say that. He doesn't define what the symbol is. He's just like, it's mine and you can't touch it. Nah.
We have tons of videos like this from Americans of every type of skin color, sexual orientation, yet people are still suggesting that America stands for white supremacy. And what exactly is that narrative? That narrative is that, let's see, America is systemically racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic. Progressives and Democratic leaders push this ideology so they can gain more power.
Really though? We have to cover whether or not the United States is systemically racist, sexist, and homophobic. Are you fucking kidding me? How much time you got?
And this narrative, it's not a joke. This is people up. This happened a few months ago in my hometown of Brooklyn. A black guy named Frank James opened fire in the New York City subway and injured 29 people. Listen to what he had to say in a video interview in the past.
I'm telling you the same thing. White people and black people, as we call ourselves, should not have any contact with each other. You still refuse to understand this. You want to make up some story about some Jesus and the Bible said dumb shit. They don't see it that way. They hate your guts.
Dude was a literal black supremacist. And where do you think he learned all of this all white people hate all black people type of shit? From the mainstream media and the government. It's disgusting.
This guy sounds exactly like the white supremacists. Exactly like them. And I guess I've heard people say that white supremacists are also supported by the government and media, so that's kind of funny. I don't think that either of them necessarily really directly is supported by either of those things. But they do sound exactly the same, don't they? It's uncanny. They're both equally wrong.
And why do they hate your guts? Because they know that your rightful place is as a slave in this country. They know that. You're the only one that doesn't realize that. And now you want to be equal to them by force. They didn't choose to elect. They didn't elect to make you an equal. You had to force them to make you an equal.
They didn't elect to make you equal, but they did elect a black man president. Twice. This guy was so convinced that all white people hate him that he went on a random shooting spree in a New York City subway. And apparently the FBI knew that he was violent. He constantly threatened white people's lives. And the FBI and the police did nothing because why? Equity, equality, bullshit. I suspect the FBI did nothing because, well, that seems to be their MO, doesn't it? Until something bad actually happens, they kind of just tend to let these crazy guys run amok. There's probably one or two examples of white men being allowed to just kind of run amok for years. Maybe comment down below if you can think of any. Just off the top of your head. Is this the America that you want to live in? Really? Stop falling for the bullshit lies that they're telling you. Start speaking to each other instead of speaking at each other. Start being proud of the fact that as an American, you have freedom. You have the freedom to make videos like this, criticizing people in power. Do what I, a middle-aged white lady, am telling you to do. Stop being bad. Yeah, that's gonna work real well, Arielle. Thanks a lot.
This black woman at a Save America Trump rally nailed it.
Who does this woman think she is, that the people of Michigan don't have the right to question her? Who does this woman think she is, that the people of Michigan don't have the right to scrutinize the election process? That is what happens when you have people in government who do not know and do not care about the state or the U.S. Constitution. Last time I checked, according to my First Amendment rights, I have the right to redress my grievances to my government without being called an insurrectionist, without being called a big life proponent. Who do these people think they are? They work for us.
Ooh, I think she did nail something there. They do work for us. Unfortunately, I think the American experiment was corrupted by money from the very beginning. But yeah, theoretically, they work for us. But what happened to the freedom? What happened to the small government? What happened to government leaving us alone? I'm afraid that this is a very leftist sentiment that this person at this Trump rally has accidentally come out with. Whoopsie.
Yes, preach queen. We need so much more of this and so much less of idiots like this who, once again, I am not surprised that they are teachers.
Yep, it's true. A lot of people who go into the teaching profession are actually just people who like to tell other people what to do. Who knew?
My room does not have a flag. It used to be there, but I took it down during COVID because it made me uncomfortable. My kid today goes, hey, it's kind of weird that we just stand and then, we say it to nothing. And I'm like, oh, well, I gotta find it. Like, I'm working on it. I got you. In the meantime, I tell this kid, we do have a flag in the class that you can pledge your allegiance to. And he looks around and he goes, oh, that one?
I've had enough stress for the day.
One of the most hideous flags I think I have ever seen. But once again, I have to agree with Arielle. I've had enough of this shit for today too. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I hope you had as much fun as I did making fun of her. She's totally clueless, isn't she? But she doesn't give a fuck anyway because she lost her flag, so anybody else can lose theirs and she doesn't give a shit. Anywho, this has been our hang with Arielle Scarcella and her amazing hat. Thank you so much for joining me out here in the garden where we do feminism from a materialist perspective, and I hope to see y'all next time. Like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this. Share it around because I'm trying to get up to 1,000 so I can maybe make just the tiniest little bit of money off of my work and get the hell out of my mother-in-law's house. And go buy a t-shirt. There will be a link in the description below. They make great gifts. The holidays are coming up. So I'll see y'all next time. Bye!